Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Take Solutions Q1 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by ICICI Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star and 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Vinay Bafna from ICICI Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vikram. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this call. First, I would like to thank Take Solutions to give us this opportunity to host the call. Today, from the senior management representing the company, we have Mr. Srinivasan, VC and MD of the company, Ms. Shobna NS, Executive Director, and Mr. Lalit Mohapatra, the CS of the company. Over to you, Srinivasan, sir.
Thank you very much, Vinay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining the Take Solutions Q1 FY22 call. I would say we had a very satisfactory quarter. The revenues came in at 28.32 million with an EBITDA of 4.5 million. This was about 6% lower than the previous quarter, but it was anticipated due to the second wave of COVID and the consequent impact of the start and stop and the impact of lockdowns, especially in the Indian geography. So while the order book stands strong at $171 million, our ability to consume the order book gets constrained due to COVID restrictions and the impact of the contact-intensive work that we need to do. However, as we had guided in the past, the focus of the company has been on very strong cash generation. And for the quarter, while the EBITDA was $4.5 million, we generated a cash of about $3.04 million was our operating cash profit. We also added 6 new logos to the clientele. We found a very good sweet spot in the specialty pharma companies, and we've had logos from across the US in the specialty pharma companies that we've been able to successfully add. We also had a second wave, not only of COVID, but of COVID trials being awarded to the company. So we had 3 new COVID trials and there are some very significant opportunities that stand in the pipeline, which we hope to convert soon. Obviously, we are also looking at a better environment where we'll be able to convert or burn revenue faster. And hopefully, as we move ahead, this trend will improve considerably. Basis current indications, we think for the year, if the same trend continues, we will end up in an EBITDA range of about 180 to 185 crores. And we may end up with a revenue around $130 odd million. And this would be, obviously, this is subject to some other changes on the debt side that we've done when the transaction happens, the contours of the numbers that I'm saying may change. But broadly, the revenue track company is good, the EBITDA traction of the company is good, the cash profitability of the company is good, and we hope to sustain it during FY22 comfortably. We had in the past said that we are working on a structure which would enable the company to address its debt issues. Obviously, we cannot carry and repay a whole lot of debt that is sitting on the balance sheet. While we've lowered the debt to about $68 million as on 30th of June, there are principal commitments for the rest of the year that are coming up. So we ran a process, and in that process, we had participation from several reputed firms. And the one that the board recommended is the transaction with HIG Capital, which is a $45 billion private equity fund based out of the US. They will take a majority stake in the Navitas brand that we have. Now, this brand is spread across multiple entities and multiple geographies. And so we will, in doing this transaction, we will have to create a coherent structure where this investment can be made. The approximate value of the deal is about $135.5 million. And for 75%, we get $101.63 million. In two parts, there is an upfront cash of $91.63 million. And then there is a $10 million in seller note that will accrue at the end of 3 years, which would carry a PIK interest of 6% per annum. What this does for Take is it completely deleverages Take. We become a zero debt company and obviously have adequate cash on the balance sheet. HIG has an excellent track record of creating shareholder value. And the market in which the Navitas business actually can create value is the market of the United States. And so our ability to generate enough returns from the balance 25% which is there would be, I think, well backed by HIG. For the other business, we will be in a very strong cash position to be able to build that other business and get into related areas of diversification, which are not in conflict with the Navitas brand that we have. So there are two things that we have strongly achieved. I think the first is the cash profitability, which from Q3 of last year has been continuing, and we expect that to become stronger during the course of the year. The second one is we have a very credible plan before us to deleverage the company, and that process is there. These would be the high-level comments from the management for Q1 of FY22. I'll now pause and be ready to take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. We will wait for a moment while the question queue asks. Ladies and gentlemen, to ask a question, please press star 1 now. We have a first question from the line of Swaminathan Mani. Investor, please go ahead.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes,
how much of the debt is on Navitas balance sheet and which will be transferred by way of your sale of stake, and how much is the debt you will pay in cash? And second question is, with the extra cash, do you have any plans to give a one-time dividend? And secondly, even the balance 25% Navitas stake, do you have any plans to demerge that and give it to the shareholders of Take? Because holding the stake, whether Take holds the 25% stake or the shareholders of Take Solutions hold it, it could be the same effect.
Okay, I think there are 3 questions. So let me first answer the question on debt. So the debt in the Take system is sitting primarily in 2 books. One is a 100% subsidiary called Take Solutions Global Holdings Pte. Limited, which is a Singapore company, which is the holdco of the overseas assets of Navitas, of some of the Navitas assets, right? Then there is a company called as Ekron Akinoa Limited, which is a company based in India that also has debt. So roughly, and I'm just giving a rough indication, don't hold me to the final number. The debt in the books of Ekron Akinoa is about 6.5 million, and the balance debt of about 61 million or 61.5 million is on the books of Take Global Holdings Pte. Limited. Both these will entirely get squashed. The next is with reference to the structure that I had already called out. See, Navitas is a structure it is available in all geographies and it is available across entities. So therefore, the piece that HIG wants, or want to invest in, that will have to be carved out as a new entity. So it would involve internal restructuring with appropriate approvals, and that will happen in due course. Now, as far as the other question on the demerging or one-time dividend, those are all obviously when the transaction concludes. That is something that the board will deliberate and take decisions on. We have not moved so far down the line to decide on that aspect now.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope it's in the best interest of all the stakeholders.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Imran Contractor from Quantum Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. So can we get an understanding of the 130 million turnover you are expecting this year? How much goes away with Navitas?
You can again. If you look at it last year, out of the 107 odd million, 72 million came from Navitas, and the balance was the rest of the system.
Okay.
We would more or less have the same percentage during the current years.
Okay. So it's nearly 70%.
Yeah, but see, we don't control growth rates during the current year, so it is very difficult to tell you in a COVID year how each business is going to behave. So I'm not able to structurally answer you, but last year's percentage is a pretty decent indication.
Right. Okay, sir. And sir, this money.
And just to tell you, it doesn't go away because there is.
Yeah, we own 25% of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we own 25% of it. That's right. Sir, and just to understand, currently, last balance sheet, debt is around between 500 to 600 crores. Total consolidated debt.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, and we would get about $90 million upfront. So that would be around, say, 700 crores or something like that.
Yeah, our intention is, I think our debt is more, just over 500 crores. Our intention is to entirely squash the debt.
Right.
And have the rest, and that's the intent.
No, I'm just trying to understand will this transaction entail some taxation also? And so net, what would we be landing with? And in which, like in Singapore subsidiary or in Indian subsidiary or something like that?
See, I think we have one of the big four firms which is working on this. So we will address it as it goes along. Obviously, we look at a structure that is proper for all constituencies.
Okay. And sir, if we were to take profitability between the two businesses last year, what it would be? Would it be same or it would be different? Or
no, they both enjoy more or less the same EBITDA margins.
Same EBITDA margin. Okay. Okay, sir.
See, the difference in the businesses, just to give you a broad color, one part of the business is aimed at the R&D head of the pharma organization. The other part of the business is aimed at the CIO of the pharma organization.
Okay.
So the R&D part is what is the Navitas brand.
Okay.
The CIO part continues as the Tech brand.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir. So, but I saw in the presentation you are expecting that with the introduction of HIG and this valuation of this business can be at least 4 to 5 times over a period of time.
Yeah, because those are the premiums that are there attributed to this business in the US. So even if you look at the HIG transaction now, which is only, let's say, 70%, even for the purpose of theory, it's far greater than the market cap of the company.
Yes, so sir, but the point...
The valuation of this in the US is good. and at an appropriate point of time with the help of HIG, where we will be able to scale up the business. And
Right.
therefore, this is a past track record of HIG of what they've delivered. So we've looked at that, and that's how that statement has been.
Okay. No, sir, if we look at our market cap, which is about 877 crores, and if I deduct about 500 crores debt or something like that, so we've got if we add that, then we've got a EV of about some 1400 crores. And if we were to take value of this, then it comes to about 900 crores. So anyway, I hope this goes through and we are able to ramp up our other businesses. What do you foresee? How will this other businesses run?
We obviously, there is a team that's working on that, and there are detailed plans that are being presented to the board, and they're being refined as we speak. And just like in the previous calls, when people had asked me that where is your plan for the debt and why have you not outlined it, some of these plans only when they're ripe and they're ready to be announced, we can announce.
Right.
And it will come out in the next few weeks. So there is a team that's diligently working on it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To ask a question, ladies and gentlemen, please press star followed by 1 on your touchtone phone now. We have next question from the line of Sanket Deshmukh from Love Investments. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking my question. So just following up on the previous participant, looking at the HIG, so why the partnership is portrayed as the strategic partnership rather than the stake sale?
Because Take and the same management team will be actively running the Navitas brand. And therefore, they want to grow the Navitas brand bigger, and they are backing the current management team to grow it. That is why it is a strategic partnership and it's not a stake sale.
Okay, understood. And my second question revolves around the margin. So, sir, the margins have been a bit lower as compared to the historical trend. So, can you please put some color on how it will evolve going forward?
If you look at the margins in the last quarter, it was almost 19%. This quarter, the revenues have been lower because they've been impacted by the second wave of COVID. And in addition to that, this is a quarter in which the India staff get their increments, and that has come in as well. So once we hit a particular revenue run rate, I think we should be back to a 19-20% margins. And those I would look at as steady state margins.
Okay, understood. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. And I've got my last question. So, what is the PE plan to grow this business?
Come again?
PE plan. What is the PE plan to grow this business?
PE plan means? I didn't understand.
What do you call it? Private equity plan. Do you have any?
Oh, you mean what is? No, the question is what is the company's plan or what is HIG's plan? I didn't get the question, and that's why I'm trying.
Okay. So basically my question is, what is the private equity plans to grow this business? The HIG plan.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
See, obviously, the importance that we ascribe to this is because the Navitas brand has an excellent set of customers, excellent set of audit credentials, because this business is a regulated business and regulatory agencies audit it frequently. We have excellent audit credentials. And it has very strong domain expertise that is there in terms of staff. Now, there is a scale that it can achieve, and that scale needs strong hands, effective partnerships, maybe a couple of acquisitions. Now, these are the things that a strong partner like HIG can bring in. Obviously, the current equity structure that is proposed is non-dilutive in nature, so there will be no dilution as far as Take Solutions shareholders go. And we will be able to grow the business very strongly in the North American geography, which is the most important geography for this business. In addition to that, it's a geography that yields good valuations. So HIG has an excellent track record of high value exits. And so at an appropriate time in the next few years, there can be a planned exit where the Take shareholders can benefit from the gain that accrues.
Okay, sir. Understood. Well, thank you for answering my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Nirav Dalal from Maybank Kim Eng Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thanks for the opportunity. In terms of management changes, how should one look at that? And then would it be that the two businesses will operate? How would the two businesses operate? What will be the synergies in that? Because HIG would be concerned with their with Navitas, and with Take we would be concerned with the 25% of Navitas as well as the 100% of the balance business. And what is the outlook for the balance business?
Yeah. So the outlook for so we'll start with the outlook for the balance business, which again continues to show a pretty good growth rate, and we are positive that it will be in line with the numbers that we think we will be able to achieve. As far as the management is concerned, there is going to be no change in the management of Navitas. So it's going to continue under the Take management fold in some form or fashion. There is, of course, a segregation of businesses. So that will involve a separation of some of the leadership. That's being currently worked out and thought through. But they're all in good professional hands. They are very capable individuals at different leadership levels. So we don't foresee that as a challenge as we move forward. The discussion with HIG on this has been transparent. And who and what, if any, we've tried to create very good demarcation on what will happen as we move forward. So we don't see any challenges in non-availability of management bandwidth for either of the businesses. Obviously, in terms of governance and supervision, I'm anyway there, and I'll be across both the businesses, and so will some of the people within the enterprise.
And then in terms of synergies between the two businesses, how should one look at that?
Yeah, there are good synergies between the two businesses at the moment. So I don't think that I think it's a point that is well understood by both sides of the organization. So wherever there are synergies, as I told you, the Navitas brand sells to the R&D head. The rest of it sells to the CIO organization. So we'll be able to drive value for both sides of the business.
Got that. But then, see, the business that is left, that believe that is more an IT services business, which is what you can say is would start to taper. So this business would need faster client additions, whereas the other business would be more mining of clients. So then, what the concern is that how this business will, what will be the growth prospects of the balance business?
So there are some assumptions here, Nirav, which are unfounded because I have not made those statements. So therefore, we will have to. I have said that at another forum, we will explain how the rest of the business is going to grow and what are the ingredients in that.
Okay.
So we'll have to await that.
Okay, got that.
We can tell you that just as we came out with a very credible, detailed plan on how to address this, there will be a plan for that also. But everything we don't have the bandwidth to address everything at the same forum.
Correct. And when do you think the the demerger sort of the business and the structuring of this deal will get completed?
Typically, all these things take anywhere between 60 and 90 days.
Okay.
So, barring any unforeseen circumstances, that would be the time frame.
Got that. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. To ask a question, participants may press star 1. We have next question from the line of Jagannathan S.
Hello, thanks for taking my question. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a little concerned about this entire transaction. From what I can see, you had a big debt on your books and you sold off what you earlier described as the most profitable part of the business, 75% of that. You're left with a business which is now what it used to be and what Ram, Yeleshwara, and other IT side people used to handle. So you're left essentially with 30% of the business, 70%, and the other 25% of this business you sold, you're basically a minority partner in that. It's like an investment in that firm. So I think we've gone back to square one. You become an IT services company again. You said you become a pharma industry company. Now you've sold off most of it. You just now described it as a very attractive business, but you sold it off. I don't see how shareholders benefit from this transaction at all. Can you please explain?
Yes, I can. So there are several assumptions that you have made, which are there. Secondly, whatever is there is going to obviously come to a shareholder meeting or deliberation. So there will be a detailed explanatory note on what is being, I won't even use the word sold, where we are developing a strategic partnership and why that is relevant. There will be an explanatory note and there will be a detailed analysis that will be sent to the shareholders. So the shareholders have their right to vote at that. I have not described to you the second part of the business, which you have assumed as a particular form of IT services business. I only said it is aimed at the CIO organization. What is the complexity of that business? What is the speciality of that business? I have not explained in this call. And I don't intend to, because there is detailed work going on that and a separate presentation will be made to investors. So at this point, your concerns as a shareholder are noted, and there will be a detailed explanation of that will come. There will be an opportunity for you to reflect on that and vote as a shareholder. Additionally, I want to say that there are debt commitments, so the company has an obligation to fulfill its debt commitments, which is a very important consideration as well.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Imran Contractor from Quantum Investments. Please go ahead.
Sir, what has been the impact of the COVID in our business for this quarter?
Yeah, I'll say about 16% of our projects overall are delayed and 2% are significantly delayed. Okay. That is the impact. And to give further details, about 126 of our own staff members contracted COVID. Unfortunately, we lost one person. We still have three in hospital, but the rest have recovered and come back to work.
Okay.
So that's the impact.
Okay. Is there any financial number can you put, or it's difficult?
It is very difficult because there is no loss of project. It is only delay. It's going to come in future. So therefore, it is difficult to put a financial number.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Jyoti Singh from Arihant Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Sir, I just wanted to know how much debt company have till now, and is there any fundraising exercise for that?
Okay. Yeah, the total debt the company has on its books as on 30th June is $68 million totally across all entities. And the capital raise was just described in the presentation, which is through stake sale in our Navitas business to HIG Capital.
Okay. And for the near-term outlook, till what time it is expected to reach pre-COVID level?
Oh, that's a very difficult question to answer, and I'd venture not to answer that because the pandemic is not over. People are talking of a third wave. So we continue to grow our business with cautious optimism. Our focus is on cash profitability that we are now confident of achieving quarter on quarter, and we'll take the growth as it comes.
Okay. And sir, just one question on the margin side. Earlier in the Q4, company has committed to 25% EBITDA per quarter in next 2 years. However, you have any guidance for that?
Yeah, I did say that this year we aim to achieve an EBITDA of between 180 and 185 crores in the current mix of business. We look at that this year, and then for next year we'll move on from there. For the first quarter, the margins were in the region of 15.7%. Q4 of last year we were at about just short of near 19%. I think we should stabilize at 19-20% EBITDA.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's it for now.
Thank you. A reminder to participants to ask a question, please press *1 on your touchtone phone now. We have next question from the line of Neerav Dalal from Maybank Kim Eng Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you. A couple of questions on the numbers. One is, what would be the order book that we are looking at the moment?
We are at 171 million.
We are at 171 million. Okay. And the other thing is that if I look at the expenses, there has been some changes within the cost of revenue and other expenses. The cost of revenue has increased, whereas the other expenses has come down. So has there been a change in the way the classification of costs, or how should one look at this?
No, the cost of revenue actually includes what are in clinical trials called as pass-through expenses.
Okay.
These are expenses that you get from the sponsor and give to the sites. So it is a timing issue.
Okay.
So you would have given those expenses to the sites now, but you would not been able to perform the activity because of COVID second wave or whatever it is. So the corresponding revenue would not have kicked in this quarter. That is all. Otherwise, if you take on an annualized basis, you will find that it's pretty much steady. It's just that if you're physically prevented from performing an activity, it goes up. The other expenses has come down because we've actually tried to push that down. There are now we've gone, for example, in marketing, we've gone fully on digital platforms. All conferences are digital platforms. There's hardly any travel, and given the second COVID wave, there was pretty much everybody stayed where they are. So those are the things that led to lowering of the other expenses.
Got that. And then if one were to look at the order intake for the quarter, so the order book has been flattish, and hence the order intake this quarter was about 26 million-ish. So how should one look at the business from here on in terms of winning new business, and how should one look at that?
Ideally, you should look at an order book that is somewhere in the region of 1.3 to 1.5 times revenue. That should be the situation. That is how it functions.
Okay.
But currently it is a little higher because we have not been able to burn the orders because of constraints on COVID.
Got that.
Otherwise, in a healthy situation, you should look at an order book that's somewhere between 1.3 and 1.5 is to 1.
Got that. And then in terms of business, what are we looking at in terms of the other therapeutic areas? Has the business how is the business performing there, and how's the deal momentum in terms of the other businesses? And also, if you could comment in terms of reach, how is the reach that we are enjoying at the moment, and how was that, say, last year? So what is the improvement there?
Can you qualify what do you mean by reach?
Reach, meaning that now we are covering more regions in terms of our clinical trials, and how should one look at this?
I think we'll be very largely focused on the US, Asia, or in particular the US-India corridor. We don't want to digress or move around too many other places. The only other place that we have outside of this corridor is Russia. That's because of the availability of patient population and the acceptability of Russian studies for FDA submissions.
Okay.
So we are not going to expand beyond this geography. We're going to be focused only on this geography for all our businesses. There is adequate business there. We don't want to spread ourselves thinly over a number of areas. In terms of therapeutic areas, I think we already pretty much cover about 20 of the 28 therapeutic areas, of which majority of our business comes from 6 therapeutic areas.
Right. But the pickup in terms of the therapeutic area, because earlier, because of COVID, there was some slowdown in terms of the other therapeutic areas. Now that the COVID scare has weakened, are we seeing a bigger push towards all of this?
Most
pent-up demand.
Most of the non-COVID trials have commenced again. The only area where we run into delays is for start of anything, you need regulatory approvals. So now, because of a lot of queuing that has happened at the regulator end, all regulators globally, the approvals take a little longer to come than before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, okay. But that, okay. But so we are getting in the orders, but the start of the delivery is taking slightly longer than it was taking earlier.
Yeah.
Got that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. To ask a question, participants may press star 1. We have next question from the line of Monica Arora from SGW Advisors. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Congratulations. My first question is, what are your plans for the Take Solution, listed company, which is a listed company going forward, in terms of any diversification plan to grow, or if you can give any color on your P&L and balance sheet, what it will look like after the transaction is completed?
I've already called that out, Monica, saying that we are not ready for discussing that at this forum, but we'll come back because that is precisely the document that is being made, and it will be tabled at our board first. And once we have a formal sign-off on that, then we can come and discuss it in this forum.
Okay. My next question is there are many disruptions caused on account of COVID pandemic since 2020. So what will be the a ballpark figure, if you could give, the normalized margins going forward if we see the business as a post-COVID world?
We should look at let's say a 20% EBITDA business.
Okay. And sir, any plan for reducing our receivables?
I think they've already come down substantially from last year, and I think during the course of this year we intend to reduce. So just to give you a color, I think from 33% of the balance sheet it already came down to 27%. Our idea is to bring it down to about 20% of the balance sheet by the time this financial year is over.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to ask a question, please press star followed by 1 on your touchtone phone now. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star 1. We have next question from the line of Monica Arora from SGW Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you. So just wanted to understand, yes, the actual plan you cannot give, but if a little bit color you can give, like how would be the structure? Continuing from my last question, I'm continuing. How would be the structure after this the transactions would be like? Will there be some kind of a committee or basically to run the CRAMS business, all the full control will be with you? Like, if some idea on that.
No, so I just said that even for the Navitas part of the business, there is no change in the management team. There is not a single change in the management team. The same management team will continue to run that business. And so that's how it is. The other part of the business, there will obviously be some disclosures that would be made down the line. And I said we'll come back to that. I know that it would be ideal if we could give you clarity on everything at one go, but that's not feasible given the management bandwidth commitments that are already there. I think over the last year, we've solved several things. We've gone into a loss and then come back into profitability with some very hard decisions. We've tried to find a very robust solution for managing the debt. And so like that, the management team will come out with a properly articulated plan for the overall take structure in the business.
Okay. And sir, if you could give some color on how would be the growth prospects opportunity post-COVID, as we see that your business is uniquely positioned, but we have a tough time due to COVID. So once things normalize, how you plan to grow your business significantly, or I would say what would be the next leg to grow?
Yeah, I think currently we are focused on addressing all the key issues and growth challenges that come to us on a daily, weekly, and monthly and quarterly basis. There are enough challenges currently in the COVID environment, so we need to carefully watch and then use these opportunities where we can and improve our margins and improve our customer retention, which we've done. We've had 100% renewals of both commercial and federal contracts during the course of the years. So we'll continue that momentum, but it's very difficult to articulate how strongly you'll grow because I think COVID is not behind us. So we should be cautiously optimistic on how we grow the business.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering my questions so patiently. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I'd now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time to attend the conference call and asking us these questions. If there are any unanswered questions, you're free to reach out to investorrelations@takesolutions.com. Me and my management team will be very happy to address those questions in detail. Once again, thank you very much and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICICI Securities, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining with us, and you may now disconnect your lines.